You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. My name is Clark from 5Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. Co-hosting with me, as usual, is John, who is Trade You at Recess on Instagram. And Hyung is off for one more week, but guess who's back in his place? Our unofficial fourth host, who has an open invitation, like I said on Friday's episode, if you heard, to come on the show whenever he likes. It's our buddy Will. Welcome once again.
Hi, everyone. I'm back one more time before my 2023 hiatus, so it's good to be here.
We'll see about that. All right. Well, today we got quite a few things to talk about, and it all comes from the recent Topps Industry Conference, which many industry players went to down in Phoenix, Arizona. It looks like they had a good time, and I think we should just try to go next year. I don't know where our invitation was, but if possible, we should make the trip. I don't know if it's in Phoenix every year, but it looked like a lot of, especially with Fanatics involved now, it actually looks interesting to attend. And there was quite a number of announcements. So yeah, there's been plenty of reports already. If you checked a lot of the different Instagram accounts, on YouTube accounts, I think there's a lot to go over. So we'll skip our regular off the top intro and get right into hobby headlines. First, there's a couple of new cards they're planning to introduce into upcoming sets, and there are at least two really notable ones. Let's start with the frozenfractor. It'll be serial numbered, I believe, 0 out of 0, and then it goes into the negatives with serial number -1 all the way to -5, -5. Initial thoughts?
That's one of the worst ideas that I've ever heard. It doesn't even make sense.
Frozen's frozen. You go negative, negative cold numbers.
Sure. So
degrees.
Is a -5 better than a -1? Like, I don't even know how they rate it. Like, I'm curious what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to be trash.
What do you think, John?
Honestly, the first thing I think of are those iPhone memes. Every year, like a new iPhone comes out. And they have the meme of like the dudes like sitting on the couch, and it's like iPhone 11, and they're sitting on the couch, and then iPhone 12, new headphone jack, and the guys go, oh, and they go crazy. Like, this is what I feel like Topps thinks we're gonna react to. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, it's really silly. I think they just sit in a boardroom thinking, how can we add more parallels, but not do the same thing that we've done before and piss people off? Let's go the other way. Oh yeah, gosh, that's so. You know what's funny? I feel like frozenfractor is gonna look awesome though. I'm anticipating it to look amazing. It's just we're gonna make fun of this whole backwards serial number thing for a while.
Yeah, you know what? I think, you hit the nail right on the head. It's just another parallel. And we talked about how many parallels. It's just a different way of numbering it, but it's still a parallel. It's just still yet another 1 of 1 type card with the 0, 0 of 0, which is kind of crazy. But, I think it's going to be worth a lot when it first comes out. I think people are going to be willing to pay a ton for these frozenfractors.
Especially if the eye appeal
good old hobby really logic.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Will, earlier, I feel like -1 probably has a premium. You know how like if you went the regular way, the 1 of 5 card is more than the 2 of 5 and 3 of 5. I guess I would give a premium to a -1 out of -5 card. I don't even know what the numbering system is going to be like, but it's kind of silly. I think I've yet to see one video where card collectors like, oh, I cannot wait for the frozenfractor to come out.
Right.
And
you notice
I didn't do good in high school math, but I guarantee you I would have been the best math student in that Topps boardroom when they were coming up with this idea.
Yeah. And you notice the very subtle marketing name convention of frozenfractor, right? I think before it sounds a little bit more special when the name is combined with the refractor word. And I think that's how the market kind of accepted logofractor the last time they kind of pulled it out. Rather saying frozen refractor, they went with frozenfractor to kind of mimic logofractor, to kind of mimic superfractor, to make it sound a little bit more special than you would, right? So there's a little subtle marketing naming convention there that they're trying to trick on top of the negative numbers on us. And we're going to sit here and hate it all we want, and it's going to come out and it's going to look amazing, and we're going to be like, this is the best.
It's like, yeah, we're going to want it so bad. All right. Speaking of naming convention, there's another one, retrofractor, to your point, John.
Mm-hmm.
These are cards featuring past players, like Babe Ruth was one example. What do you guys think of retrofractors?
Are they one of ones as well, or?
That's a good question. They might be, or they will at least have one of one.
So, I mean, that's just like a vet one of one. Like, they have that in every set every year.
Right. Or like the SSSPs
sport.
In like Topps paper, right? That have
Babe Ruth
or Ted Williams.
That's true. I wonder how
they've already done this.
If it's numbered to 50 or something like really, really super short print, I think it'd be a pretty fun, cool chase.
Unless the retrofractor, there's a distinct look to it. Maybe it's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the Mojo Fractor, or, like the Mojo Refractors. Like there's a distinct look just for players that are, vintage, I guess.
But what if they're so dumb? Because we already know they're dumb because they came up with frozenfractor.
Right.
What if they're, like, the way they make it look different is they make it sepia toned?
Oh, I hate the sepia. And then they're like, oh, shoot, guys, there's something called sepia parallels.
Those parallels are the worst parallels.
Oh, no kidding.
Like, who wants a rusty brown card?
True. Very true. Oh, man. Okay, well, we'll move on from this. Then another kind of big announcement is that they're getting rid of some of the product lines. There are a lot of sets released, especially during the pandemic. The manufacturers were really taking advantage, and I guess Fanatics, Topps saw that, and they're cutting down on the product line. So here are the list of the ones that they announced at the industry conference that won't be produced moving forward. Archive Snapshots, Bowman Chrome X, Clearly Authentic, Topps Fire, Topps Gallery, Gold Label, Opening Day Topps, and First Edition. So out of that, you surprised to hear any of that, or are you sad to see any of those go?
Good riddance. I love it.
I don't have a single one of any of those.
It's about time they start cutting the herd. I think some fans, I'm sure, will be upset. I think there are probably a lot of opening day fans of this list more than anything, and maybe Gold Label, because I know Gold Label has a bit of a history. But they got to start shopping out some of these ones. So I like seeing this. I'm perfectly fine with it. Great news.
I feel like it's almost like a bait and switch though, because they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get rid of all of these. We're refining our product lines, but they're just gonna introduce like Topps UK, Topps Japan, Topps South Korea, Topps India, Topps Canada, and then they're going to introduce like all these different logofractor and
I mean, they already introduced Topps Chrome Cosmic and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're not getting rid of these. They're just picking
making new ones to replace
sets.
These ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that point. I guess one of the arguments is like some of these sets are like for, people with lower budgets.
Right.
Right. But to your point, like there are still a ton where there's low budget sets that you can collect.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So you still have choice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The next two are autograph cards, unique autograph cards coming from players you probably wouldn't expect from particular sets. So what I mean by that, Tom Brady, if you didn't know, he was was he drafted by the Expos? He never played for them, obviously, but he was drafted. So they're giving Tom Brady a baseball card that's going to be autographed and inserted in Bowman draft picks.
My gosh, that's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a chase.
Yeah.
That's going to be...
I had no idea that he was drafted, especially by a Canadian team. That's kind of a cool thing. I really didn't know that until they announced it. Your initial thought, you just feel like, this feels a little forced. But when you think about it, you're like, no, this is going to be crazy. Like, this is going to be too cool. Like, everybody is going to go for it. So I think it's going to be good.
I really like the Jordan baseball, like Upper Deck baseball cards.
Right.
It's just kind of weird. It's 30 years later. 20 years later. Sure. So
there is a gimmicky,
yeah,
element to all of this. So for sure.
Yeah. I'll give it a pass just because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's
exactly what I was thinking. Just because it's Tom Brady, it'd be kind of cool.
Good point. Yeah, if it was somebody else that's not as crazy as Tom Brady, I'm sure.
I don't want the Russell Wilson auto.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have wanted it 10 years ago, though.
What was he, like a Yankee prospect? Like, no thanks. It's okay. I'll pass. Oh, sorry. I remember you told me that a lot of the listeners are from New York. I love the Yankees.
Yeah, come on. Let's
I love
go.
Aaron Judge.
Woohoo!
I love Aaron Judge.
Oh, man. Okay, well, speaking of autograph cards, Bronny James, he's going to have an autograph card in the 2022 Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American Basketball set. You guys excited about that, or you think it's going to be a huge chase?
Wait, so there's a McDonald's All-American... There's a set dedicated to McDonald's All-American high school kids?
I guess so. I didn't know about this. I don't know if it's a new thing or if it's...
Right.
But Bronny James is going to have an autograph card in it.
So it would be like his first auto card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think if you're going to launch McDonald's All-American Basketball, you're going to need some sort of hyped, pull that requires to kind of uplift this product out of nowhere. So I think that makes sense. But I mean, in the real basketball world, I don't know how, I think the hype and the general market is going to really be really crazy about Bronny James. But I personally, I don't know where he stands. I don't know what Bronny James is really going to become as a real truthfully as a real basketball player, right? He's a bit of a tweener. I don't know if he's even a first round pick. I want to think that he is, but I really, I could see him not even being drafted. I could see him not even being drafted, but he'll be drafted because he's LeBron James' son, right? I don't.
What do you mean? He was projected to be 10th in mock draft.
Oh, is he already? Oh my gosh!
To the Orlando Magic.
It's amazing how strong the LeBron hate is that he's already discrediting his son.
No,
he might not even get drafted.
It continues on to the James family.
No, I'm not. Crazy, I'm legitimately not trying to hate. I swear to you, I am not trying to hate.
All right,
but okay, that's interesting. I think that's fine. I probably a little bit overhyped, but I mean, why not? Why not attach to that as a business decision? Why not attach to that hype to launch a brand new product? 100% makes sense. So it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It makes sense. It makes sense for them. It makes sense for collectors. I just feel bad for Bronny because how could you ever live up to a dad that?
Right.
It will be hard, if not impossible. It's still going to be a big chase, Bronny James. There's going to be collectors for it. There's a market for him for sure.
Right.
All right. Next one is kind of unique. I've never heard anything like this before. Athletes, or I guess baseball players, if they're in baseball sets, they'll follow you on social media if you pull a special card. So I guess if you pull a card and there's a code on it, and then you redeem it somehow, and then that player will follow you on social media. So if you pull a Mike Trout special card like this, you can have Mike Trout following your Instagram account.
Yeah, that's so bad.
It just seems really strange.
But you know what?
I was thinking, what if Mike Trout
it might be old man on the what's it called, on the bench? No, old man on the porch. We might just be the old
Right.
men on the porch, just like,
Right.
this is a stupid idea. Because like the idea, like I don't want more people following me on Instagram, let alone a major league superstar. Like that doesn't make sense. I don't want that.
Even if this was targeted towards like kids, let's say they pulled a special card and they get Mike Trout to follow them and they start messaging Mike Trout, thank you so much for following me, and he just responds going, stop talking to me, kid. Like I don't understand what this means. Like what's so good about forcing an athlete to follow you? It's not like you're going to interact with them ever. I doubt they're going to.
Guys, come on.
No, I think if you're a kid, just imagine you're like 12 years old and you
Right.
you win this reward.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Right.
cool.
That is, true.
And
That
like
is cool.
they're obviously
Exactly.
gonna coach their players to be like, hey, don't just auto like reject whoever's following you. I think it's weirder if you're like 40 or 50 years old and then
Whoa,
Mike
whoa.
Trout has to follow you, and it's just like,
You know what? I was going to say something, but after you said that, it's going to be embarrassing for me to say that I think this is super cool. Okay, as someone you just mentioned in that demographic, I don't think that's weird at all. Okay, I have a nice Instagram page, and I would love to have a MLB caliber player like Mike Trout following me. That would be amazing.
yeah, well,
But I don't know if it's like, we make fun of adults seeking autographs. I don't know if it's equivalent to that, like it's like, oh, who's this 30, 40-year-old pushing kids around trying to get autographs? I don't know if it's the card equivalent for that. So I don't know. I think it's cool.
I could see Clark just hunting on eBay for these cards.
Damn straight.
But I feel like
overbid.
yeah, but Clark's like the 5 card guys account. That's different. That's like a special. That's like a famous account. So I totally get it. It's just like I don't want Mike Trout following my personal account where it's like pictures of me eating hamburgers and my kids playing in the backyard. Like
You could be best friends with Mike Trout. Just think about that.
I want to be best friends with DeMar DeRozan. I'm just putting it out here. I'm just putting it out there.
See?
DeMar.
How about if you got a DeMar DeRozan card and he can follow you? I guess it depends on the player, right? But
True.
just saying.
You know what? I'm back in. I'm in. I'm with you.
Because of DeMar.
I love DeMar.
Oh,
I'm
I
in.
got him back in.
I'm in.
Okay. Cool. All right, I got a couple more. Topps will continue its MVP buyback program in 2023 and beyond. So if you guys don't remember,
perfect.
Topps did this program with last year's Chrome product, when Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt won their AL and NL respectively, the MVPs for that season. And if you had their cards, depending on the parallel, depending on the refractor that you had, you could redeem it at a local card shop for credit, essentially. Right? So they're gonna continue this, and I think we mentioned in a previous episode how we thought this was a great idea, and we hope that it would continue. Assuming that you guys think the same.
Yep, great idea. Bring it to Canada, please. That's all I gotta say.
That's my biggest gripe. Like
That's
I gotta
right.
mail
That's
it
right.
down to like some shop in the States, and then I gotta pay ridiculous shipping to get the cards back. So that's the only complaint I have. But I love the program. It just makes it kind of weird now, like on all the Facebook groups and on eBay, we're all gonna be like speculating as to what the cards will be. And so you might just be buying bulk base cards of, I don't know, Nolan Arenado.
Right.
It's like and then you have to like kind of speculate before they announce
Who's
what
going to be the
special card
MVP.
is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we don't know if it's going to be MVP, right? It could be anything. Oh, is it MVP?
Oh yeah, that's true.
It could be anything, but
Yeah,
I
it
would
could be
assume
anything.
that
Right.
I would assume that it'll be MVP, at least for one of their buyback programs.
so
Right?
that
It could be multiple.
Yeah.
Or they might change it to Cy Young or something like that, right?
You try to buy all the base cards, but they announce it's something else.
Yeah, it's something totally random. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's this weird like
It's Kevin Biggio. You have a Kevin Biggio card?
I would
We'll give you $10 credit
exactly
to your
exactly.
LCS. Yeah, I guess I guess we'll see how they roll it out. But I'm assuming it's MVP. That'd be kind of dumb if it's something else, wouldn't it be?
Right.
Maybe Cy Young. It could be another award, I guess.
Yeah,
Another. Right. We'll see.
Well,
But
I'm
I guess
buying all
generally-
your base, people. I'm buying all your base.
and then he's going to ship it back to the States to redeem it. It's going to cross borders a couple of times for Will to get his money. All right, I'm sure there's a lot more, but those are the ones that really intrigued me right off the bat. And Johnny, you actually mentioned right before we recorded that the Fanatics Collectible CEO announced at I believe it's at the industry conference, that Topps is going to make some kind of major announcement, or if it's a product announcement, the biggest one in a generation. I think that's how it was termed or coined. That's kind of intriguing, and it's supposed to come next month. Any ideas what you might think that might be?
I tried to think of what it would be. I honestly have no idea. There are things that I could think of that I would love to see, but they're not anything off the wall that's going to be like, oh my gosh, that was
generational.
That was a crazy announcement. Oh my gosh, So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts? What could be like a generational product announcement?
Yeah, my only thought is that it's going to be underwhelming. It's going to be a disappointment.
They're setting themselves up. They're setting themselves up for maybe it's like how bounties are huge right now with sets. Maybe it's a pretty sizable bounty for a card or a few cards.
Right.
Kind of turning things into more of a lottery system.
Like maybe every product that they release in 2023 will have a Babe Ruth cut auto or something as like the biggest chase. Like each product will have one of those or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or like a golden ticket kind of thing. And then if you get it, you get to go to Topps and tour their factory and eat chocolates and swim in a chocolate
and meet Mike Trout and have him follow your social media account.
You'll take the phone right out of your hand and then press follow.
And then play basketball with DeMar DeRozan.
Oh my God. And then you get to be the president of Topps. That's how it ends.
Okay, yeah. That would be cool. That will be for a day. Just for a day though. Well, you know what? There was a golden ticket redemption, something like that, in a Topps product recently. I don't know if you guys remember.
Was there?
Yeah. Where there's like a meet and greet with certain MLB players, Hall of Famers. So there was that, but then the pandemic hit. So I think they had to like cancel everything. But that idea was done even as recently as 3-4 years ago. So I don't know if I feel like that can't be the announcement because it's kind of been done. That idea's kind of been floated out there.
Right.
I still don't know.
It's going to be underwhelming. I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like that, Clark. I think I like your thought process of it being some sort of possible relic or something that could potentially be across the board in every product, like a Babe Ruth cut auto, or like Aaron Judge's 60-second home run jersey, or game used jersey, and a piece of the patch is in a one of one is in every one of the products, whether it's Topps Chrome Update, or Topps Paper, or Series 2 or Series 1. Like each one will have a one of one of that jersey, like something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I guess the only thing, if it was something like that, they would have to get, it's the whole breaker thing, right? Like, how do you prevent breakers for having a major advantage in getting these kind of cards? Right. So, we do know Fanatics Live is going to be a thing, right? They're going to have their own kind of streaming. So maybe they do it on their own channels. Maybe that's how they kind of promote their service,
right? By
doing this as well. Just thinking out loud.
What if you had the one of ones across all 65 of their products, and if you put all the one of ones together, it actually makes up makes up the entire logo of like a jersey or something.
And blowout cards will have a bounty for that too. First collector to do that.
As you were talking, I was like, oh my God, what if they're going to announce like that they're doing their own grading? What if it's something
come on.
stupid like that?
Right.
Oh man, I hope not. Yeah.
Or what if they say they're buying out Panini and they're buying out BGS at the same time? I don't know. Is that generational announcement? I don't know. Actually, not really. No. Forget it.
I don't think so. But
Yeah, forget it.
it's got to be some kind of really expensive product or hit, or like something experiential.
Right.
It's got to be one of those. I think it's either one of those two.
Right.
Generally speaking.
I'm on board with that. I hope it's something like that.
I hope I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, honestly. At this point, after all this, the hype is starting to grow now.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, you know what? We'll definitely have a podcast episode in a month, and then we'll talk about that. And if it is extremely underwhelming, well, you got to come back on to express your disappointment.
These are the guys who came up with -5 out of 0 frozen fractors. So I can't expect much.
Expectation is very low.
Yeah,
Frozen fractor cards are actually made of ice. That's the huge innovation that they came out with. You could only see it in the freezer.
Oh, man.
All right, I'm curious. The hype's is just building. So, you know what? Will's prediction might very well be true. That we'll be ultimately underwhelmed by whatever it is. But maybe we'll forget about it until they actually announce it in a month, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely talk about it in that podcast, in the podcast episode when the announcement's made. All right. Any more news that comes out of it, we'll definitely bring it up too in a future episode. Okay, let's move on to our next segment, and it's called Overrated, Underrated. It's one of our favorite segments, and this segment today, the theme for it is card configurations, like different shapes, different sizes, all that, right? And we touched upon some of this in last week's episode when Will brought up the point that super thick cards are kind of dumb, right? That's a unusual card configuration. So I'm just going off of that idea and bringing to you a list of 4 or 5 more, and just want to get your thoughts on these kind of cards. All right, the first one, let's start off with horizontal image cards. We kind of talked about this as well last week. Are you guys a fan, or do you think it's overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna say underrated. I think when I first came back in the hobby 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, and I started to see a lot of these horizontal cards, at first I was like, oh man, horizontal, like I don't like that at all. And maybe it's the Tatis flagship image that influenced me, but I am now fully accepting of horizontal. I actually don't even notice a difference when I'm looking at cards. Like it doesn't bother me as it once did. So I am all for it. So I think if there is a component of a card being not worth as much because it's horizontal, I'm going to say it's underrated, because if the card collecting community is anything like me, I'm now fully accepting of horizontal cards, which will mean that eventually there won't be a pricing difference. So I'm for it, underrated.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's hugely underrated. I too, I don't understand why a horizontal card is less appealing than a vertical card.
Right.
And like you're saying, John, like I think the images on horizontal cards actually, they're better because they're usually like a wide angle shot.
Right.
Like there's a couple of the Soto Stadium Club cards where it's horizontal and you just see like his pose, like his batter's pose, and
Yeah.
you know there's
Boba
like
Fett
the
Sky
Boba
Dome.
Fett, the Boba Fett Sky Dome. Like there's a Vladdy vertical Sky Dome one,
Oh yeah.
and it
that's
just
right.
doesn't look the same. So I really like horizontal cards. I don't understand why they're so frowned upon in the hobby. So I think it's hugely underrated, and I'll keep collecting all of those horizontal cards.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think I mentioned last week, like the one reason why I don't like horizontal image cards is because of the slab. You know, it just doesn't look.
Yeah, slab's the worst. Grading's the worst.
Yeah. Right? If you didn't hear last week's episode with Will and his hatred towards slabs, graded cards, you could listen to that episode last Tuesday. But I mean, yeah, like with the label on either side, either the left side or the right side of the photo, it kind of ruins the aesthetic of the horizontal image card. Raw, great. I agree with you. But because of the grading, I would say it's kind of overrated. But yeah, if we're just talking about raw, it's like a photo, like a lot of our photos, family photos, whatnot, they're all horizontal, right? We're used to it, except for sports cards, like we're just used to more vertical images there. Yeah, horizontal, like the chalk toss LeBron, love it. LeBron being guarded by our Kobe. And LeBron, that the Topps Chrome 2008 card.
Good example.
Yeah, so Juan Soto Gatorade Bath, another one.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that card.
Beauty. Okay, next one, double-sided cards. I know there's not a lot of them, but I've been seeing, the card with Michael Jordan on one side, and then if you flip it over, you got Kobe on the other side, representing East and West of the Topps Finest, I believe it is. Do you like those kind of cards?
Yeah, I love that card in particular, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Are there any other examples of double-sided besides that one set? Because I think that set is pretty sweet. But the Jordan Kobe is expensive, and I remember thinking one of my all-time favorites is Grant Hill, and I know Grant Hill has a card in that set, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll look at the Grant Hill. And I think the back of Grant Hill was like Michael Finley or something like that. I was like, it ruins it. Like,
It's like those rookie cards where Nolan Ryan, and then you got another random pitcher.
Yeah. You have like Kobe Auto, and then it's what's that center's name that used to be like a number one pick for the Lakers? Yeah,
Bynum?
yeah. So it's like Kobe, Magic Johnson, and Andrew Bynum. Like, it just ruins.
Just devalued the card 50%.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I feel the exact same way. I didn't even know there were double-sided cards, so I feel like it's super underrated because I would have figured it would have showed up in my feed at some point. And then just the thought of, MJ and Kobe, that's pretty cool. And just thinking about like all the different combinations that you could come up with of actual stars. Like, obviously you don't want Andrew Bynum, but like if you had like, Ichiro and Julio, they're putting a lot of Ichiro Julio stuff together, or Mike Trout and Ohtani. Like, I think that would be really cool. Or it's like, even if they're like, Bo and Vlad, oh my gosh, if they had a card like that.
I think now that I think of it, it's either Flawless or both Flawless and Upper Deck that have the 6 autos. So 3 autos on the front, 3 autos on the back.
Right.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah. I'm with you guys there too. Only thing that kind of ruins it is slabs. The one side you're seeing the reverse of the slab. Like it's you don't want to display the
presentation
backside
wise.
of the slab.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, we're hating on slabs again this episode. All right, next one, die cut cards. The ones that are cut irregular shapes, die cuts. See Johnny's face.
Yeah. Overrated. I've never liked them, although I do have a die cut card of Jordan that I pulled from an Upper Deck pack, and I graded it. And it's kind of they're always shaped in a way where you can't protect them properly. So it's pretty damaged, but I ended up keeping it anyways and slabbing it just for memory's sake. But I am not into die cut cards at all. I think some of the older ones, like 90s inserts, it is, like looking back on it, I think just purely because of the nostalgia, I find them cool. But still, I would never prefer them over like a regular card. And then especially when you get into like the newer sets, modern, like when Select does their die cuts, and then they have the gold die cut in one particular shape, and then they have another full set of parallels of a different die cut. Like, oh man, that stuff is just, again, like another poor reason to just make more and more parallels and products. And die cuts, no go for me. Over like, I know they're priced accordingly because I know most of the hobby doesn't like them, but regardless, completely overrated.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, it's probably priced really low because I can't think of anyone who's chasing after die cuts. But
Right.
even that price is too high, so it's overrated. Die cuts are the worst. Like, what is even the point? And why are all the shapes so random? Like,
Yeah.
Like you'll get like a star shape, and you're like, how am I gonna protect this? And it's like the moment I like tap it down in a top loader, it's gonna damage the bottom corners.
yeah. Like, and like, I get it if it kind of fits the theme or the motif. Like, I think Topps series 2021 Topps, I think they had like diamond cut for like an insert set, and so the cut is kind of like a diamond. So it's like, okay, I kind of get it, but like some of those select, like what you're saying, John, those basketball ones, it's like, why is it cut like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the Bowman, the fire one, and it looks like it's just been like burned. Have you seen those ones?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like, I understand
no,
what you're trying to do, but I paid full price. I want a full card.
Yeah, no, it's an overrated sweep. Like, to your point, there are certain cards that, I asked the same question where, why is it cut into like, why are there 15 corners on this card? Why did they cut it this way?
Yeah.
And imagine you wanted to get it graded. There's no way you're going to get a PSA 10, right? So, that's kind of silly. And of course, like you guys mentioned too, the value just isn't there, and rightly so, with die cuts. All right, a couple more. How about mini cards? Those tobacco size cards. Allen and Ginter has a few of them. Even some Bowman sets.
Ooh, I don't like them. I don't mind them. It's kind of in the middle. I'm gonna say 51% underrated. I think they're okay. I think it is kind of cool to kind of have like a T206, kind of the old school look. Kind of going back to the grading thing, I don't like how you don't have small slabs for them. I think it would maybe look weird that it's a small slab, but I don't like it when it's in a normal card slab and it's either floating in there or there's like that sleeve in between and it just looks like it's floating in midair. And sometimes they'll press it down and it's like slightly on an angle, and then that'll just bother you for the rest of your life. So I think the slabbing part is a bit of a difficulty for it, but the aesthetic alone, I don't mind it that much. I'm not big on it, but I'll say slightly underrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen the little top loaders for?
Yeah.
They're so
do they
cute.
have
Cards.
No
They're
way.
the cutest
didn't know
little
that.
plastic top
That's
loaders.
awesome.
But that goes back to what I was saying last week. It's like, I gotta buy 25 of these mini top loaders for my one tobacco size card. It makes no sense. I'm actually with Johnny. Like, I think most mini cards I'm a little annoyed by. I'm especially annoyed when I'm looking for like a 1 of 1 or a out of 5, and then eBay populates, or like my search pops up, and it's the card, and I'm like, oh my god, I've been looking for this card, and then you look closely and it's like, oh, it's the mini version. So I don't like that, but I do really like the T206 when they have it look like those cards, like the Honus Wagner.
Oh, even the design.
So I like when they
right.
do the throwback look of that card.
Right.
So I like those ones, but not just like when they just miniaturize the regular like card.
Oh yeah. Right. I get you.
So
Do you guys remember
and underrated.
Do you remember the one where you have to decide whether you should peel it or not? So it's like
the
a regular
rip?
card.
Yeah.
And if you peel it, it comes with a mini
It's like
card
a rip
inside.
card.
Yeah,
The rip card,
yeah.
yeah. Did you guys know, I didn't know this, but some of the older versions of that set, if you rip it, you can get cash. So it'll have like a folded $20 bill.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
I think I knew that actually.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
That's pretty
that's-
sweet.
When I got back into the hobby, one of the sets I really love was Allen and Ginter, just because it was odd, and I like the clean look of it, and it's not obviously nothing hugely valuable in it other than a few autos that you can get, and some of the mini cards are actually framed, so the framed is actually the regular dimension card,
Right.
but then it's inside is the mini card, right?
That's right.
So I don't mind those, but there are in some of those packs, in each of those packs, actually, there's always one mini card in it, right? So, if you did buy 25 of those top loaders, you could easily fill those 25 if you bought a box of Allen and Ginter, all right? So you get one in each pack.
There you
go.
But
I'm okay if we just got rid of it. That's a relic of the past. T206 is its own thing. I think it's trying too hard. Other cards trying to mimic it. And, when you do open it out of those packs, how many times you just drop it because it just goes right through your hands, when you're kind of going through the bigger cards. And you're like, there's a damaged corner. Not that it's worth much anyways with these mini cards. But so for me, overrated. Let's get rid of them. All right, last one. John, you brought this up. Booklet cards where you can open it up and sometimes there's a patch on one side and an auto on the other. Sometimes there's just an image and the patch and auto is on the other side. John, you brought it up. So what do you think about booklet
Overrated. Cards? I do not like it at all. Every time I watch like a Flawless Break or whatever big product, and they'll open up that, or if it's National Treasures, and they open up that initial box, and then it's the whole thing as a booklet, and they're like, "Oh, look at this, we got a booklet," and I'm like, "This, it's not." I will say, like, when they open it and it's like Derek Jeter, A-Rod, like Frank Thomas, you got every autograph under the sun. It is cool, but I mentioned this last week. I am the type of collector that likes to collect and protect. Like, I love the idea of pristine.
Collect and protect.
It just bothers me that I think there are now protectors for like a 2 booklet. But what if you get like the 6-page booklet? Like, how do you protect that? Where do you put that? Like, it could be like a $5,000 card, and I'm going to be even scared to like take it out of the box and ever look at it. Like, it's just going to be something. What do you do with that? Right. So I think I'm a little bit acceptance of like a single page booklet because there are protectors and mag loaders and stuff for that. But I don't know. I'm like you on the mini card stuff. I would be 100% fine with just ever releasing booklets ever again. And the most you would ever do is the double-sided 3 autos on one side, 3 autos on other side. Perfectly happy with that.
Okay. No booklets for John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I just don't understand how you can transport it, how you can show it off. Like, let's say it's something high value. Like, how am I taking that card to a show and trying to trade it? Like,
right.
Like, you can put everything else in the top.
You're certainly never going to show it to like your 8-year-old son.
No. No.
Like, stand there at least 10 meters away. I'm going to open up the booklet.
And then usually it's wasted space in the booklets. It's just more white space. So I don't get the appeal. Like,
and it's also usually sticker autos. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. Like, if it's not too much white space, then it's like that card where it's like 26 autos, and then you're just like,
right.
What is the point? Like, I like the idea if it was on card, and you're like, oh my god, the whole team signed it, or all the whole rookie class at the draft, they all signed it together. I think that's kind of cool, and I would be more likely to purchase that booklet. But on card, I mean, sticker autos is like, what's the point?
No good.
Yeah, so totally overrated.
Yeah, even the ones that are like the double booklet, just a kind of like it looks like a normal book. I think even that's overrated. Like, I don't like it in those slabs. Like, how do I fit it in like, where do I put it? Like an oversized slab, right? So yeah, I'm not a big fan, and if I can't, I guess even the multiple autos, the sticker autos, is, I don't know. I just don't find it appealing to me.
And I think Beckett will grade it, but then they'll put it. Have you ever seen their grader for that? It looks like a grading slab for like a comic book. So like it'll be like this big, and then literally the slab will be like this, literally the size of like a real page, and like, oh, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I guess if you had like one of those multi-auto cards, like 25, like you would have to just get that like specially framed. You know what I mean? Like you just got to do that yourself and then hang it. I don't know what else you could do with it.
It's a Christmas It's a Christmas tree decoration. Just
yeah, like a garland.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes our segment to overrated, underrated for this show. We'll bring it back again once we have another theme we could dive deeper into. All right, let's finish off this episode with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And this is where each of us, we put up 2 cards or 2 sets, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in or collect. All right, so John, do you want to start things off for us?
Let's do it. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go hockey, and some of us are hockey collectors. So this isn't necessarily, aimed at those that collect hockey. This is for those that want to dabble into hockey. And we have always said if you're gonna dabble into hockey, you're gonna go McDavid. He's gonna be the number one choice. So if you were to come, I always thought about this, and I'm sure this might be a question that some people may have. I don't know what to get. I want to get a McDavid. I don't know what to get. Obviously, I'm going to probably look at a rookie card. So we're going to go $500 to $1,000 budget. It's a pretty solid card. Would you rather go a PSA 10 McDavid rookie? Obviously, it's going to be like an alternate rookie card, not the Young Guns. But for example, like Upper Deck Canvas has been selling for right around the $1,000 mark USD. You can go like Upper Deck Fusion Gold. It's like $500. You can go Upper Deck SB Authentic Retro, which goes around $500. So would you rather an alternate PSA 10 McDavid rookie or any subsequent year McDavid Patch Auto, which also go for in the $500 to $1,000 range? So if you were to advise somebody coming into the hobby, I need to get one McDavid card, I want it in my collection, do you think the better choice is to go for an alternate rookie card, PSA 10, or a patch auto card of McDavid? And I guess this could also, you could say this about Steph Curry or Giannis, or, it can go either way.
This is a hard one. Will, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this pick one is for me because a few months back I said I want to start dabbling in hockey. And the one player that I was thinking of is Connor McDavid. I mean, partly because my son is named Connor, so I think it'd be pretty cool to have a card with his name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've been thinking about it, and like every time I went to like the shows, I'd kind of look at hockey cards, and then my eyes would glaze over because there's just too many and all that stuff. So. Yeah, I mean, you sent some pictures to us of different cards and their comps and their pricing and all that stuff. I think I would go with what I think is safer. I would probably go with the Patch Auto because I feel like Patch Auto is a little bit of a higher end card versus like a lower end rookie card because, my experience with baseball and my experience with basketball cards is like, if you're not getting the main rookie card, like the flagship, it's like it holds almost no value. So, and then I wouldn't know if I'm getting screwed or not. Versus like the picture that you sent, like one of the patch autos was from the Cup, and I know the Cup is their signature
high-end product.
Yeah. So
right.
I'd probably go with the patch auto.
Yeah, this is a hard one because I love there's so many cards out there, so I like to set rules for myself on like which I prioritize. And one of the priorities is like generally speaking, I'm always looking for rookie cards of players.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm not really interested in second or third year. So that's what makes it harder because when I see Connor McDavid, and he's more of a definitely more of a recent player. So you're gonna have print runs that are just generally higher, especially in his rookie season. He was hyped from the very beginning. So
Upper Deck. I think they even made sets just for Connor McDavid. Like I think out of nowhere, 2014 print run was lackluster, and out of nowhere they just blasted 2015, just like they would have done for LeBron James. It's the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So to that point, like I just think I agree with Will. Like the patch autos, usually those are numbered too, like they're limited. Obviously with the autograph and the patch itself, and even though it's a second or third year card, I think those are generally safer as an investment. If you're a collector though, I might just go for the rookie because it is cheaper, and I love collecting rookie cards anyways. But if I want to maybe flip one of those down the line, the patch auto of Connor McDavid, even if it's a second year player for a player of his caliber, there's going to be a market for that.
All right, so I am. I think a year ago this would have been a different pick, but I am siding with you guys, and I'm picking patch auto. And I think this advice would go to a collector and would also go to an investor. I say that because if you're a collector, come on card auto McDavid game use patch doesn't get any cooler than that, right? If you're just looking at it objectively. And back in the 90s when a lot of this started for us, rookies was a thing. Like it was all about rookies, rookie card. And I think that sentiment has obviously traveled through time to now. But the difference between now is there's just too many. And rookie card is a rookie card, but I think now people are getting a bit more picky, and you're seeing, yeah, it's a rookie card, but is it the main? Now there's a thing called main rookie card or flagship and stuff like that, right? So I think if you're not on the flagship rookie, and even if you are, we're talking kind of like a PSA 10 base, right? And so there's two things happening here, not the main rookie, which could be a Hobby Logic and go the other way. And then base could also start to, as it's been kind of crumbling and not looking special like the Mike Trout update, it could also take a bit of a downturn. So I think even in the long run, for you to hold on to like a McDavid autograph, a generational player, and a patch, there's a gazillion of these things. That's the unfortunate part is McDavid, every year that the cup comes out or Upper Deck Artifacts or Upper Deck whatever, he's got a patch auto in all of them. So there's a lot of these out there. But still, you're talking, imagine Kobe, LeBron, Tiger, whatever, like a patch auto. It doesn't matter what year. I think it's pretty cool. I think it has liquidity. I think it has collectability, all of the above. So I think it's a very sound decision to make. I'm going to go with you guys, and it's a patch auto.
Yeah, that was a good one. Patch auto sweep.
I'm going to start looking.
All right, well, you want to go next?
Sure. Mine is 2001 baseball, 2001 American League Rookie of the Year versus the National League Rookie of the Year. We've got Ichiro Suzuki versus Albert Pujols. And we've got their 2001 Topps Chrome Traded cards. It's from the same set. Ichiro, he came to the MLB when he was 27. That year, he won Rookie of the Year and AL MVP. He's 10-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, 3-time Silver Slugger, career WAR of 60. And then Pujols, he was 21 in 2001. He won the Rookie of the Year. He was 4th in NL MVP voting, which I think is crazy as a 21-year-old in his first year, being that high up. 3-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glover, 6-time Silver Slugger, 2 World Series wins, and a career WAR of 101.6. Pop for both. Ichiro has 300 PSA 10s, but a total gem pop of 482. Pujols has 418 PSA 10s and a total gem pop of 905. So let's just say it's almost double the amount of total gems. And both cards last sold right around $1,680 US. So which card are you picking?
Ooh, another good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. I am, it's pretty close, but for me, it's going to be Ichiro. And I think a little bit is a bit of bias. I was a big fan of Ichiro throughout his career. So I think that certainly has a part to do with it. But I think Ichiro had likability and fans, both North America and international, throughout his career. And I think that's why that Topps Traded Ichiro card is so iconic. Like if you're a baseball player following, collecting, you know that image. It's a pretty iconic image. Whereas Pujols, he's also another legend. He's right up there with Ichiro, but the last 5-6 years of Pujols' career, I think it was going down the path of, old guy that's sticking around too long, right? So there is a negative part of his, fandom and likability towards the end of the career. And then it blew up right at the end to bring him back up to legend status, right? So I think there are just more overall fans of Ichiro out there. So even investment wise, like the how iconic that card is, how many fans, its widespread audience into the international markets, like the Asian markets, and also it's a lower pop. I think collecting wise, I'm biased. I'm gonna go Ichiro, and then also investing wise, I think it's also the better move.
Ichiro, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Johnny took all my points. It's going to be
Sorry,
Ichiro for me as well. So everything Johnny said. Actually the tiebreaker for me was the lower pop count. Like I like both cards, but it's what John said about his Topps Traded card being pretty iconic. Like for Ichiro, that's kind of one of the top cards you want for Ichiro if you're collecting his rookie cards. Right? And Albert Pujols, I mean, he has got the Bowman Chrome first auto. Like that's the iconic card for Albert Pujols. And it's kind of like what we were talking about Connor McDavid earlier. There's the rookie card, and then there's secondary, tertiary rookie cards that are nice, but not the rookie card. So I feel that way about Albert Pujols Topps Traded.
Good point.
As well. So I'm going with Ichiro just because it's iconic for him, and the lower pop count's my tiebreaker.
Very, very good points. Actually, as I was preparing this, I was leaning a little bit more towards Pujols. Personally, I've enjoyed Ichiro as a player more. Us being Asian and seeing another Asian guy, there's always that little bit of connection there. And I was like, but Pujols, like 700 home runs. That last season was so special, right? Like him hitting all those bombs. And I mean, Johnny, you're saying like his last 5 years or whatever, but it's not like Ichiro's last few years. Like he played until he was like 45 and he was playing for like the Marlins, and he was throwing in relief on like blowouts and stuff like that. So it's not like his last few years were any better, but I think so I was leaning towards Pujols until Clark said the point about how this isn't the iconic Pujols card that you want.
Great point.
And I didn't even think about that when I was.
Me neither. I actually didn't think about that either.
Yeah. But for Ichiro, this is the card. Like this is the card that you want. This is the card that you think of when you're trying to collect an Ichiro. So yeah, you convinced me, Clark. I was totally the other way.
Oh yeah.
And now I've fallen into this thing of sweeps. And I always criticize you guys for always agreeing. And here I'm doing the same thing.
It's why we're friends. We're very like-minded collectors.
Yeah. We actually aren't. Like
yeah, that's true too.
I like all the things you guys hate, so
you like DeMar a little bit too much.
I love DeMar. I love him forever.
Yeah. All right. We'll finish with my 1v1 pick one. So this is more of a general one. I don't have a specific card, but on one side, you have your gold refractor card numbered to 50, but it's not autographed. So it's just a gold refractor numbered to 50. And on the other side, you got your blue refractor, which is numbered to 150, but it is autographed. So which one would you prefer?
This is hard because I think for specific sets, it's wildly different. So I think if you're speaking Bowman first, value wise, there's like no comparison. The auto blue is going to be like a monstrous card versus the gold refractor. So I think Bowman first it's in a class of its own. It's very specific and unique. So I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to start speaking about flagship. I'll talk about Topps Chrome, which is a little bit more in terms of like even value if you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on Bo Bichette or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm going to side with gold. And I think over the last year, Hyung, all of us have been saying gold is kind of the, gold standard, like that.
Timeless.
That's right. So I think in terms of refractors, the colors, I think gold is going to continue to prop itself up, even though it's numbered out of 50. So I love the aesthetic. And I think for me, especially for Topps Chrome, I really like the fact that number one, it's gold, but it's also a parallel of the flagship image. Because Chrome always changes the image, and usually the auto image is for the most part, it's not as iconic as the main image, right? So me as a collector, even let's say the gold was like a little bit less valuable, I still would, even in my collection, I would still love to have the flagship image in a gold refractor over the non-flagship image with the auto, and maybe it's worth more or whatnot. So I think the gold lettering has a chance investment wise, and I think even personally from a collection wise, I go with gold. But obviously there are people that'll take the auto over a refractor. So I'm on side gold.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah, so I think this is specifically targeted for baseball, right? Because I think basketball, gold is out of 10?
10,
right.
Yeah.
So I think if we're speaking just generally, gold is the safer bet in terms of the overall look of the card. Because sometimes with these these different colors, like a blue, it looks great with a Blue Jays card, right? Like it's color match, like Bo and Vladdy in a blue refractor card. It looks really, really good, really clean. But what if you have like a team that's, I don't know,
Oakland A's.
Yeah, like the Oakland A's. Like my gripe is seeing like Vladdy's Topps Chrome in a green. Like I'm just like,
green.
It's so ugly. So yeah, the inverse is true. Yeah, like if I was a fan of the A's, I wouldn't really want to see it in a blue refractor. It looks weird. It clashes. Right. But a gold will always look clean. Now, obviously, value of an auto card is probably going to be higher than a non-auto card for the most part. But generally, I'm more of a collector, right? Like rather than the. I mean, we're all somewhere on the spectrum. I'm more collector. I like the look of a card more than the value. Like I consider that more than the value. So I think I'm with the gold. I like the gold. I like the look of gold, especially Topps Chrome. It looks good, nice gold. Like I don't like the paper gold because that's one step. Brown. Yeah, one step above sepia. Yeah.
Gold and the platinum. Oh, come on, Topps.
Yeah, that's true. Good point, guys. Definitely a good point, John, about Bowman Chrome being kind of its own thing. Definitely the value wise of a blue number to 150 autographed usually will be higher than a non-auto, even if it's gold. But I guess it's another good point by you. Well, like I guess if you're more of a collector, you look for the look of the card. I love gold looking cards. Obviously, we're all fans of gold. Like if you have it in your hand, even if it's like I pulled a few golds, and but the problem is they're all of like bench players. You know what I mean? But it still looks cool. You know, like the gold. You know, I actually had a gold Kevin Biggio. And,
nice.
I bought it and I flipped it. Luckily, I flipped it before he played 2-3 years ago. Like I'm like, oh, he's gonna be one of the young Blue Jays crew that's gonna be really hot, and it didn't turn out that way for Biggio.
Yeah.
But it looked really nice, and but like for me, I'm also a big fan of autograph cards. Like I don't know, maybe when I came up like collecting autograph cards, like initially IP autos, obviously collecting of your favorite players if you can. It's just nostalgic for me, and I think more than just adding value to it, the autograph itself. I put blue in there because it's also serial numbered, so it's kind of two things that kind of really outweigh the one great thing, the gold color for me. So for me, it's going to be blue. I mean, if you had gone the other way, you guys both chose gold, but if you guys have if it was a harder 1v1, I would have asked you, would it have mattered if it was color match? And obviously Will talked about that. It does matter.
Yeah, if it was color match, I'd probably lean towards, I don't know, like a gold Vladdy versus a blue auto.
Like a gold John's flagship Vladdy.
Yeah, John's point is correct too. Like, it is valid. Like the image, like the actual image matters. And so if they use that alternate image, like, not a big fan.
I hear that. Yeah. But I'm going to go the other way. Blue.
Oh, wow.
It's numbered, autograph.
Yep.
And, maybe it's the Blue Jay bias because blue looks great with all the Blue Jays cards.
It does.
Can't go wrong with that. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of Cards to the Moon. We really appreciate you guys. Our numbers are growing, so it's awesome to see you guys telling your friends. We encourage you to continue to tell your friends and tune in every Tuesday and every other Friday where we'll have a brand new episode for you guys. We'll talk to you later next week. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.